Hello everyone. Let's talk about sitting. So it's been many years since we asked a dog to sit. We can't even remember why we asked dogs to sit. I know we did it at like thresholds and before maybe we asked dogs to jump into the van or maybe they messed up or something like that and we asked them to sit or down. But we moved away from that many years ago when we were developing the Jentle method, and then during that process of observing other dog handling techniques and whatnot, just observing that even if dogs had really good obedience and downs and stays and sit, they could still very much have quite a bit of baggage inside. And another thing we observed was when dogs would come into the pack, if they were insecure or reactive or aggressive or whatnot, a lot of them would sit. And when it comes to dogs sitting, their butt and their genital area, like that's their greeting card to the world. That's how they say hi and allow other dogs to say hi to them and gather information about them. It's a conversation that they have. But when dogs sit, that conversation is not really able to take place. And so that was another reason why we stopped asking dogs to sit, especially when they were insecure and they had fears and whatnot, is because we felt we were being kind of a part of the equation of their fear. Because if their handshake is being closed off to the world and we know that they're fearful, then we're just kind of being complicit with that. So obviously, to each their own. I'm sure plenty of people watching this video are going to be like, well, I asked my dog to sit a lot and so on and so forth. But maybe ask yourself why. Is it to control them? Is it to give their energy a place to go? But for us, when we don't ask dogs to sit, we then gather lots of information, because if they want to sit, then they've either been predisposed to doing so via teaching them that pressure means sit, which is fine. But for us, we undo that more or less at the workshop and when dogs come to us to grow. So they've either been predisposed to do that via pressure on the lead, or they're insecure and they find more comfort in that. A false sense of security, more or less. And so if we see that, we give that energy a place to go, but not in a stagnant, closed off way, such as asking them to sit or down. We move them and give that energy a place to go, and we move with them until that energy subsides, and then maybe we carry on with what we're doing. But that's kind of how we've gone about dealing with it and managing dogs and handling them, is that when you give me a dog, and let's say they're really rambunctious, right? I get to see their tail wagging and whatnot, and then if I had asked them to sit, then I might get this false understanding that like, oh, my dog's more calm now, but really if they were standing, their tail would still be wagging. So there's still that kind of kinetic energy and that energy flowing through the dog. It's just turned off partially to a degree to the visual eye, but it's still present in the dog. And then when you ask them to move again, or yes to break or whatever, then there's this kind of spike in energy, which again a lot of people like. We prefer not to have spikes in energy, but rather bring more of a neutral energy to dogs, and a more observant functioning in life. Sorry, there's a cat that just walked by, and Six is just chilling, watching it. So we gain lots of information by not having dogs sit, because if we move them and they're not dissipating in energy, well then we get to continue to move with them and guide their energy. And depending on how long that takes, or depending on how many tools we have to pull out of our toolbox in terms of this step in the gentle method and then this step in the gentle method, so on and so forth, well, gives us a really good understanding of how hard dogs hold on to things, how hard they hit on things, how much energy they have flowing through their physiology, because we're physically handling them and moving them in life, as opposed to asking them to just kind of sit or just kind of become stagnant in that expression. So lots of information that we gather through visually seeing their tail wagging, or maybe they visually they just can't stand still, which is very valuable information as well. So sitting is just not something that we ask dogs to do. We don't teach it. 6 doesn't know how to sit, and I won't be teaching him how to sit. Juno knew how to sit just because I think I worked on it, and his previous humans had worked on that as well. But new pack members, when they come in, we don't ask them to sit. Yeah, it's just, when we're moving through life, let's say I was going to give a treat to a dog, I don't ask them to sit. I just give them a treat, if they're in the right mindset, of course. So anyways, I hope that's helpful. I hope that's insightful. Thank you.